Good evening. It's December 7th, 2025. Just got my new computer, because my other one pretty much died. I had to spend hours at the Apple store yesterday to get my data moved over to this new computer. So my Sunday, what I had planned for my Sunday video, I wasn't able to do, but I am going to do that now. This has to do with my experience with petitioning the saints for my son Christopher. It was the fall of 2007. My then husband was away. He was stationed in South Korea, and it was just me and my sons. My youngest son, Christopher, is a brain tumor survivor. He was diagnosed with it in 2003 when he was 13 months old. It was a terrifying, emotionally difficult time for us. I spent the next several years taking him for his routine MRIs and his physical and speech therapy. He had 2 brain surgeries, one at 13 months and the other one at 2.5 months. And then after the one at 2.5 months, it was followed up with 6 weeks of radiation treatment for the remnant of the brain tumor that was connected to his brain stem that they could not remove in the surgeries. So he was monitored throughout his childhood and still is, even now, although for different reasons. In the fall of 2007, I took him for his regular routine MRI, which was done every 4 months at that time. The doctor had told me post this MRI that Christopher's brain tumor had grown a little bit, as well as a cyst had appeared and had grown. Back in May of 2007, he had a cyst on his tumor, and it was drained in a surgery there. They drained it at that time, but only a few months later, the doctor is saying there's a new cyst, and the brain tumor had apparently grown a little bit. So this was so just disconcerting and so distressing, because there wasn't anything left to do for Christopher other than what the doctor was suggesting or telling me that he should have done, which was chemotherapy. I really didn't want to go down that route because it would be a long, grueling process for Christopher. And I didn't like the idea of the poisonous substance inside him. He had already gone through so much. Grappling with this upsetting news, I can't recall exactly, but I believe my friend suggested I should ask the saints for help. Plus, I just finished reading the life and miracles of Saint Nectarius. We also had holy oil from the tomb of Saint John of Shanghai and San Francisco that our priest back in Washington State had given us before we moved to Colorado. The years we were there, and then, we took it obviously with us to Colorado. Now, I'd never asked the saints for prayers or anything. I never really talked to them before this was suggested. So I was feeling scared, worried, anxious, and really alone. I felt like I had no support at that time because my husband wasn't there. My family didn't live in the same state as me, like my parents, my sister, So it was all just on me, It was just me responsible, and there for my son. I needed something, some support. Then I thought about a few saints I'd asked for prayers. So there was the Theotokos, which is the Virgin Mary, Mother of God, the Virgin Mary. Saint Nectarius, the book I said I'd finished reading. He was a saint that you asked prayers for people who have cancer, because his prayers would help. His prayers to God would help these people heal from cancer. It was pretty awesome, and it's still going on today. And then now Christopher did not have his brain tumor was not cancerous. It was benign, but because of its location on the brain stem, it made it dangerous and deadly if it were to grow, because it had grown the first time. He had surgery the first time, and then it started to grow back a little over a year later. And that was when he had the second surgery. So there was concern over that. And then after he had radiation to help stabilize it so it wouldn't grow. So the neurosurgeons at the time could not remove the brain tumor from the brain stem without killing him. If they got close to the brain stem, Christopher's heartbeat would slow down dangerously, really slow. So they couldn't go close. Now the third saint I chose was Saint John of Shanghai and San Francisco, since we had his holy oil, and I had anointed Christopher over the years at times with that holy oil from the saint's tomb. So I thought about how I'd structure my request for seeing how this was new to me. I'd been a practicing Orthodox Christian for a decade, but never did this before. Eventually, I just said whatever I could come up with, which was Holy Theotokos, Saint Nectarius, and Saint John, the Wonder Worker. Please pray for my son. It was those simple words. Simple, but at the time I was a nervous wreck and felt a huge burden weighing on my shoulders. No more than 15 minutes later, after my prayer, that heavy load on my shoulders lifted as if someone had taken it off my shoulders and raised it up off of me. I could actually feel it. It was awesome. The saints had taken that burden that was all on me and took it upon themselves in their prayers. That's what it felt like to me. They're like, we got this. It's literally what it felt like. I was uplifted and at peace, and I knew they'd help me, which is an odd thing to feel like that when you have anxiety and panic attacks periodically. It was amazing. So I was supposed to take Christopher back a month after this MRI so that they could pinpoint the growth of the tumor and the cyst for confirmation before my son was supposed to start chemotherapy. Nevertheless, in any case, I felt a peace going there, which I usually don't. And I felt at peace waiting in the waiting room with him. I felt at peace when he went off to do his, when they took him to go for his MRI. And when the doctor returned to the patient room after Christopher was done. And the doctor said, he walked in and he was looking somewhat confused. And he said, I'll never forget this. I don't know what happened, but the tumor has shrunk and so has the cyst. He looked at me, like I said, with this confused look like, how did I get this wrong? Or what happened? I don't know. Now, inside me, I was saying, I know. It's the saints' prayers. He said, since this is the case, the chemo wasn't needed. Glory to God. And I really didn't care for that doctor because he seemed somewhat aloof and not as compassionate. We went to the Children's Hospital up in Denver after that, but still, that moment was amazing. The first time I'd ever asked the saints for prayers, and that experience happened, and it's something I'll never forget. I've learned the value of the prayers of the saints. The prayers of the righteous are very powerful. And so I wanted to share that experience. It was awesome. It was incredible. And hope you found something, some solace to it, or it gave you some uplifting feelings, I hope. And so, if you like my content, please follow my channel. If you like you could like my videos as well. Share my videos. Share my channel with others so that you can get the word out about what my content is about, which is kind of everything through an Orthodox Christian lens. This would have been my Sunday edition, but my computer was dead then, so I'm doing it now. So, I wish you a blessed and wonderful rest of your evening. Until next time, have a good one.